Hello and welcome to the ultimate college guide of saving and investing money. In this video, you'll learn how to save, invest, build your credit, and avoid student loans. The average college student graduates with around $30,000 in student debt. That is ridiculous. If you want to be the average college student, then you can click off this video right now because honestly, it's not going to help you. But if you don't want to be the average college student and you want to set yourself apart from the pack, then keep watching and I'll tell you exactly how. Before this video starts though, I have to say that I am not a financial advisor and none of the information in this video is financial advice. Let's get into it. A budget is probably the most important thing that a college student could have. Now this budget will look different for everybody, so I'm just going to provide you with some simple rules that can put you ahead of your peers. Rule number one, the first money that you get, you always spend on rent. And you should always weigh the cost of living on and off campus. When you're looking at apartments and you're young, it is really tempting to spend that extra $200, $300 to get that nicer apartment, but you're much better off over the long run if you just go with that cheaper apartment. Let's say you're looking at two apartments side by side. One is $500 and then one is $800 a month. You decide to go with the $500 one. That means that you save $300 per month. And that $300 per month may not seem like a whole lot, but that covers your groceries plus probably your Wi-Fi bill. Now let's talk about food. You always want to weigh the cost of buying groceries versus having a meal plan. And you'll probably need to do both, but you should weigh the cost of not having a meal plan versus having one. In college, I would aim to spend around $150 per month on food. $150 should be more than enough to give you a good diet. And if you really want to be frugal, you could live off oatmeal, eggs, and beans. All right, now let's talk about eating out and fun money. Eating out is a big part of college, and personally, I don't think that it should be sacrificed. So as long as you're mindful of your spending while you're going out, I think you're doing all right. It doesn't really matter if you spend $100 a month going out or $300 a month going out. You're getting that college experience, and I think that's important. However, if you do want to save more money, this is a great area to cut back on. And instead of, going out and spending money on a nice dinner with friends or going to the bar, just do something free, go on a hike. There are many other college expenses that I didn't include in this video, such as tuition or books, and that's because you can't really negotiate those down. Sure, you can get cheaper books, and definitely do that if you can, but most of the time, you're not really gonna be able to move those, so those are kind of just fixed. All right, so now that you've already passed the step of saving money in college, let's talk about building credit. So building up your credit in college is actually super important. And while you may not be buying a house right now, you'll gain access to private student lenders, and you'll also gain access to credit card churning. When applying for student loans, your credit score really does not matter. But if you wanted to try to get a better interest rate with a private lender, then you need a credit score. And remember, it's still always better to avoid student loans. But the biggest benefit of building credit is something called credit card churning. Now, I know that probably sounds illegal, but trust me, it's not. So what is credit card churning? Credit card churning is where you get a new credit card every year or every 6 months, and then you collect that sign-up bonus from the card. And over time, these sign-up bonuses can add up and you can get free flights or just redeem it for cash. I've been doing this for about 2 years, and it has allowed me to do so many things that I didn't think I was gonna be able to do in college. For example, right now I'm in Mexico. I'm in Querétaro, Mexico, and I flew here for completely free. My flight here and my flight back, completely free. And the flight was free because I signed up for credit cards and took advantage of the sign-up bonuses. And the rewards are actually really crazy. I mean, I took this flight to Mexico and I don't even think I used like 1/5 of my points. So I could do this like 5 times and still never pay a cent. It's ridiculous. Now, honestly, I could talk about this topic for hours, so I'm not gonna go super deep into it in this video, but I wanted to put it out there. Okay, so how can I do this? How can I start building credit? Now, the best way to start building your credit is to get a secured card. So what a secured card is basically a credit card where you pay a refundable deposit to a bank, and then they give you a credit line based off the deposit that you paid. So the reason why you have to pay this refundable deposit is because you have no credit history. Banks do not trust you at all. So if you were to just take that credit card out, run away with your credit line and never pay them back, they would have your refundable deposit to pay off that card. So basically it's so they have no risk. Now, after about 6 months of you paying off your credit card on time, you'll get that refundable deposit back and it'll be completely free. But if you were to not pay that card off, then it would take a lot longer for you to get your refundable deposit back. And this shows the importance that you should always pay off your credit card on time and in full. Do not just pay the minimum amount. I know that can be tempting. I know it can be tempting to see that like $20 you could pay for like a $500 purchase. Don't do it. Just pay off the $500 in full. Treat it like a debit card. And after you get your refundable deposit back, you will most likely have a high enough credit score to actually start credit card churning and getting some of these really nice cards that'll give you a lot of free travel. If you are interested in credit card churning or just want to start building your credit, then I will leave a link to my favorite beginner credit card, which is the Discover It Secured card. I will also leave a link to my favorite travel card, which is the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Now, I know how hard it is to save money in college, and honestly, some people won't be able to do it, and that's completely okay. If you have the choice between saving money and getting student loans, always choose to avoid the student loans. However, if you already have your college paid for, or you make more than your budget is, you are in a very good position. Any money that you do not spend should immediately be saved. This will put you ahead of the majority of kids and give you a really unique foundation to stand on once you graduate. So what do I do with that money once I've saved it? Let's talk about investing. Now, I know investing sounds so scary when people first talk about it, and for me it did too, but once you give it a try, you realize that it's actually not that hard. So to make this simple, I'm just gonna tell you 2 very basic investing concepts that will give you a good groundwork for your investing. Now, the first thing that I'm gonna be talking about is index funds. So essentially what an index fund is a bundle of stocks wrapped up into one cheap present. So basically you buy this index fund and it'll be at a pretty cheap price relatively. You can buy one for probably $50 to $300, and there will be a lot of stocks within that index fund. Now, there are thousands of index funds out there, so I'm just gonna talk about the 2 most important ones, and that is the S&P 500 index fund and the total stock market index fund. The S&P 500 index fund is an index fund that holds the top 500 companies in the US. So those are companies like Google, Apple, Amazon, you know, all the giants. So about 25% of this is made up from tech. So like I said, like Amazon, Apple, but the rest of the 75 is thoroughly diversified throughout the top 500 companies in the US. So you have, you know, pharmaceutical, medical, food companies, you name it. Now, on average, you can expect around a 13% return from the S&P 500, and this can vary year to year. Sometimes it could be up to 20, sometimes it could be down to like 6. Sometimes it could even be negative. And I know 13% doesn't really sound like that much, but trust me, it adds up over time. If you're investing for the long term, then years and years go by, that 13% keeps compounding, and boom, you have $1 million. So the next index fund that I'm going to talk about is the Total Stock Market Index Fund. Now, this is an index fund that tracks the entire stock market, so not just the top 500 companies. This tracks literally everything. And it's made up of around 3,600 stocks. That can change depending on which one you get, but I'm going off of the Vanguard fund. So those 3,600 stocks kind of represent the whole stock market. And generally, as long as the US economy is doing well, these index funds will keep going up. Now, by all means, if you want to learn more about the stock market and invest in some individual companies, definitely do that. I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible so that everybody can do it. All right, so I said I was going to talk about 2 concepts. I've just gone over the first one, which is index funds. Now I'm going to talk about the second one, which is dollar cost averaging. Now, a lot of people, when they think about the stock market, they really only think about the bad. They think about, you know, the 2008 stock crash, the Great Depression, but those are very rare instances. And there's a way to protect yourself from those instances. Now, really, the way to do this is called dollar cost averaging. So essentially what dollar cost averaging is setting a recurring investment. So say you're investing in the markets every single month or every single week. And that way you will hit the highs and the lows in the market. So if you invest every single month, no matter what's happening, you're going to be investing during those long growth trends. And that way you'll still get that amazing growth, but you'll also be investing during the downtrends. So you'll be buying the dip as well. The whole idea behind this concept is to try not to time the market. So you really don't want to focus on buying in at the dip. because then you may never buy in at all and you might miss out on all the amazing growth. So the whole idea here is to invest consistently, meaning like every month or every week, into an index fund, and that way you'll hit the highs and the lows. And the best idea when investing in the stock market is to literally just set your money and forget it. Just don't even worry about what's happening to it. Fear is like the ultimate enemy in the stock market, so if you don't look at it, you're not gonna be fearful. If you don't pay attention to the news that's gonna say, oh, there's a stock market crash coming, then you won't sell your stocks and you won't miss out if that stock market crash didn't happen. Okay, so for the last part of this video, the lighting in my Airbnb is so bad, so using the phone, and also don't pay attention to that feet picture in the background. I swear it's not me, it's the Airbnb. All right, let's talk about student loans. So if you must take out student loans, make sure to do these two things. Number one is that you should always compare the interest rates between public and private loans. If you do have a really good credit score, then you could potentially get a lower rate with a private loan, and that would be a lot better than paying a higher interest rate. And you really want to get that interest rate as low as you can. The second thing that you're going to want to do is make sure that you're taking advantage of the tax deductions from student loans. So you can deduct $2,500 of student loan interest per year. This means that $2,500 of the interest from your student loans, you can basically write off, and that'll save you a bunch of money. However, just keep in mind that these tax deductions do not make student loans worth it. You should avoid them at all costs. All right, everybody, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it brought you some value and, taught you something new about finance or college or saving money. Thank you all. Have a great day.